Well, I think today is taillight day for the Cadillac. That side I already pulled out. It was just held in with the bungee cord for the longest time. And I'm going to take out that side too because it actually stopped working on me the other day. So, got to have lights. I pulled out this side first because it was, like I said, just held in with a bungee cord. There's a little bit of rust in the back, but honestly it's not bad compared to like the other car over there. But got her out, and I think I figured out why my lights are sometimes working and sometimes not. This wiring is crap. They've got all sorts of splices in there, I suppose, because they had a hitch on it. I don't even know what that is. And it's even cracked up here, and probably going to short out. So pulled that out. I'm going to go ahead and just replace the whole thing. Got a big dinger in there. The lenses are still good though, so I might save those, but I had another one in the trunk, had a good housing on it, but the lights weren't much better. That's a socket on one of them, and the wiring's a bit cracked. That wouldn't be too bad. I could probably silicone that up, but the socket not so much, and the lenses are all cracked up too. So I went ahead and I grabbed the ones out of the back of that car, and the wiring's pretty good on these. Lenses are okay. I think I'll replace that one, but I should be able to take these suckers apart and make a good set out of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sets I got back here, plus there's still 2 more on the other parts car. I think I can make something work. But wiring's good on this one, except for, I think it was this one. They spliced in a little bit there. I think I can just tape that up, glue it up. It should be alright. Not cracked anywhere else, so should be able to save it. I'll get this apart and clean it up and make sure it works. And then we'll pop her back in. The rust isn't too bad. I've still got the upper mount. That's plenty solid, and that'll pretty much hold it. There's most of the lower mount there, so shouldn't be too bad. I'll have to find some different bolts, I think, for the back here. That one's gone, and that one's pretty rusty and pretty nasty, but I should be able to make something work. Alright, I got the other tail light out. It's not as bad as the other side, but both of these look pristine compared to the other car. The other one's rusted out from about here down, just completely gone. So even though it looks bad, it's not too bad. The bolt was, rounded off and rusty up top, so couldn't really turn this one. Same with the other car. So what I ended up doing was actually taking a pry bar, and I'd set it up under that top bolt, and I hit it with a hammer, and it slid the whole thing up. And I was able to get it out of there. So this one, the backup or the brake light is the socket's no good, and reverse light actually works. So I'm probably going to leave that one alone. As far as the wiring goes, I'm going to put a new socket in here. Probably for this one, I'll keep this housing, and I'll have a new socket and just redo the wiring here. And the top one, I've got a little cut in the wiring where they chopped it up to put in those trailer lights, but I think I can take care of that. The rest of it looks good. I'll get some threaded rod and replace these things. You can see there's not even a nut on it anymore. It's just rusted away. So I'll replace those with threaded rod. I'll reuse this one, and I'll probably take, for the other side, I took one of these apart and knocked the socket out of it. I got some sockets coming, so I'll put a new socket in this. And this one is actually a reverse light, but I can tap out one of those extra holes and turn it into a backup light. I thought about just flipping the things over, but the way I'll show you on this one, the way these things are oriented, the top one doesn't matter, but the bottom one, where the brake light is, it goes off to one side. So you can't really flip it over because it would stick out the other side and you'd never get anything on there. So I'll have to redo the sockets and the housings and tap out this hole here that's not tapped, and then I can put a backup or a brake light in it. And then hopefully we should have lights. Most of the other wiring's good except for the wiring that goes to this light. I see they chopped into that too, so I'll have to take care of that. But yeah, kind of a mess, but yeah, I guess it's not as bad as it could be. Alright, I think I've got everything I need to fix up a set of these tail lights. I only need to rework the bottom light, the brake light here. I have enough reverse lights I can just take a good set and put them in, but the brake light, either the sockets are bad or the wiring is bad, or on some of them there's a stud stuck in the hole I need. So I'm going to just go ahead and take the ones with bad socket and fix them up. Replace the sockets on them. I already did this one. Got a new socket, got a new bulb, got the gasket back in place. This was a reverse light, but with the new socket I just did a double, and I tapped out the extra hole there so I can bolt it in as a brake light. So let's go ahead and grab this one. The wires are all messed up and the socket's all rusted, not working. So see if we can take that socket out of there and replace it with a new one, and it should be good to go. Alright, I guess first thing we'll do is we'll nip those wires off, and we'll take a little bit of that plastic with us. There we go. And we'll open that up a little bit. Make sure the wires are out of there. And we should be able to pull that gasket off, and we'll save that and we'll put it back on when we put the new socket in. Now I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get up under that lip and pry this socket out of here. Hopefully I'll be able to do it. I'm tempted to just take something and pound it through, but I don't know if that'll destroy the pot metal or not. I'd rather not destroy the pot metal if I can help it. Now the last one was much rustier. Life was easier. I guess nothing ventured, nothing gained. For a couple of taps and see what happens. Well, I knocked the back out of it, but I don't think that helped us much. Not at all. Alright, don't do any of that stuff I did because it doesn't work. So after I figured out it wasn't going to work, I decided let's be smarter than the socket I'm working on. And I grabbed a drill bit, a little bit, I think it's a little bit bigger than 3/4 at the end there, and ran that in there. Knocked off the back of it, ran that in there, and yeah, popped it right out. So it worked. Remember, I break stuff so you don't have to. I got a little bit of a crack in there, but not the end of the world. It'll still work as a light, and not really a big deal because I have piles of them things. But this will work. I'll clean this up, and we'll get the new socket in here. It should be good to go. Alright, I got most of the corrosion cleaned out of this thing. I can polish the outside later, that's no big deal. Just wanted to get most of the rust out of there. And now we can start getting our new socket in here. Need the packaging. Get that whole thing to come out. Now we got to bend all these little tabs in so it'll fit through that hole. There we go. Plop that in there. A few taps. Looks like it's in there pretty good. Now I'm just going to use the proper tools, of course, to bend these tabs over. Make sure it's seated in there decently well. It's not seated in there decently well. Just fish the wires back through. Grab a bulb to hold everything together. There we go. Now we'll put some heat shrink on the back of this thing after we get our gasket on there, and yeah, should be good. Alright, I cleaned up the gasket a bit. Put that back on. Just slips over the top like that. And we'll take some heat shrink tubing. Kind of a big piece here. Let's see if we can tuck that over the end. Let's see if we can shrink that on there. And we'll grab another smaller piece. And we'll tuck that over the top. And there we go. Almost as good as new. Now, of course, I butchered that one because I was had the camera on, but it's functional. It should work. And I'll probably have to go to the auto parts store and get some of these terminals, and I'll just put new wire on there because these are getting all cracked and nasty. Insulation's no good. And I'll pull one of these plastic parts off, one of the better ones. This one's in pretty rough shape, but pull one of those off and stick the new terminals inside of it and plug it right in. So now we can go ahead and polish these suckers up and start assembling, and should be good to go. Well, I suppose now that I've got all this stuff kind of cleaned up here and I got my new studs in that I cut out of a piece of threaded rod, new sockets in the tail lights. Now that that's all done, I think we can go ahead and throw it together. reuse the short studs because they're in pretty good shape still. And I didn't feel like cutting out a bunch of little chunks of re-rod, so let's see if we can get those in there. That there so we don't lose it. There's one. This reverse light's a little pitted on the back, but I figured I'd use it because it had a good socket and good wiring and everything. So we'll throw it in. It'll work. And there we go. Taillights. They're not perfect, but they're good enough for a driver. I am going to have to make some wires for these before I throw it back in, but I got to wait on the terminals because they didn't have these kind at the parts store. So once those come in, I'll wire those up and then throw these things back in, and should work and should be able to drive it around some more. Alright, I think I finally got everything I need to finish up these taillights here. Went ahead and got the proper terminals, the Delphi 56 male terminals, and they'll go into my plugs. And I was online and I saw these plugs. I was going to reuse the old ones, but for 10 bucks for an entire bag, I said, screw it, I'll buy new ones. So I did that, and then I got these two crimpers here. At first I bought this one. I bought it by accident, clicked the wrong one. This is for weather pack connectors, so the holes there are a little small for the terminals I'm crimping. So I bought this one, and it works. Got a little bit bigger holes there. It doesn't work as well as I'd like, but I can get the job done with it. And I'm kind of happy I got the wrong one, because this one has a little seal crimper, and that works perfect for wrapping that last little crimp around the insulation. So I'm happy with that. I think we can go ahead and put them wires on and then stuff the taillight back in, and it should work. Alright, let's see if we can't do some crimping magic. There we go. Yeah, that seal one works real nice. I like that one. There we go. Alright, one down, one to go. Well, in spite of my lack of skill, they actually crimped on there pretty nice, so I can throw them into the socket here. And then plug them in. I'll throw them in the car and then plug them in and see if they work. Well, there we go. It looks exactly like it did before, except now these lights work consistently. That one doesn't have to be held in with a bungee cord anymore, and I'm not too worried about shorting out bare wires inside the trunk. So not a major fix, but kind of an important one. But of course, the work's never done. I was banging around in here and I fixed the wires on this one for this upper light, but as you can see, if I wiggle the wires, yeah, that light goes out. So I'll have to dig into that and figure out what's going on. Also, the right hand turn signal works great, but the left hand one, it just kind of works whenever it wants to. See, I can turn the right hand one on and it comes on, and the left one, not so much. Every now and again it'll come through, but yeah, not consistent enough. So I think I'm probably gonna have to pull this steering wheel and get in there and see if I can clean the contacts on the turn signal switch and make that work. The left one works good, but the right one, oh, there we go, now it's working. But yeah, I think the contacts are just dirty in there, so more work for another day, I guess.